Donald Trump is absolutely terrified. He was terrified of debating Kamala Harris again. He was terrified of sitting down with 60 Minutes. It's the reason why he canceled at the last minute, and the reason why he is so incapable of doing a real interview with a real journalist who will ask him hard-hitting questions. Because he knows every time he opens his mouth, whatever he says instantly backfires on him. It's the reason he only talks to Fox or Newsmax or comedians on podcasts. But even when he does, somehow Donald Trump finds a way to screw over his campaign. And that is exactly what happened when he appeared on comedian Andrew Schultz's podcast. It was a complete disaster, so bad that Schultz actually laughed at Trump to his face for the ridiculous things that he was saying. He was just laughing at him, not with him, but at him. And we are going to get into that disaster of a podcast. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting this community that we're building on YouTube. Now let's get into the interview.
I do a thing called a weave. Yeah. And there are those that are fair that say, this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I start a story, what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
You always, a weave is only good if you come back.
They don't give you credit for that.
Yeah, it's true.
That you could go all the way over here and then get back.
I can go so far here or there, and I can come back to exactly where I started. Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
you're Biden.
Then you say, no, but the weave is the way. When you're telling, like a story, I was telling a story at a rally the other day in front of thousands of people, and I started off, and then
you were weaving
something in the story, I actually mentioned Air Force One. It was Air Force One was there, so I mentioned Air Force One, and then I said how I got $1.6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taking you? So anyway, I do a weave. I call it the weave. And some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, he was rambling. Yeah. It's not a ramble. There's no rambling. This
is a weave.
This is a weave. I call it the weave. Good name. I'm not sure. That's another name. We had fake news. We came up with lots of names.
Yeah.
So to explain why he rambles like a crazed individual, Donald Trump rambled like a crazed individual. And you hear there at the end him saying that he deserves credit for saying the weave and fake news like he invented those words. This is a deranged narcissist who only gets crazier and more unhinged by the day. As we always say, Donald Trump isn't thinking about the presidency. Donald Trump is thinking about avoiding prison, and that's why this more scared and insecure version of him gets more and more unhinged every single day. And we see it in these interviews, we see it in his speeches, and we see it in the way that he angrily talks about Mike Pence when he's brought up in this clip right here.
So I've taken
What about Mike Pence? You got anything for Mike Pence?
Well, it's a shame because he and I had a very good relationship.
Hanging out somewhere.
He couldn't cross the line of doing what was right, in my opinion. Some people would disagree with that, but he had the right to go and put them before the legislatures and have them reassess because they found out a lot of bad things. And he had a lawyer that said he didn't have that right, but he did have that right. And you know why we found out that that was true? Because they changed the law after the election so that he couldn't do what I said he could do.
Yeah.
Okay? They changed the law so that a vice president could no longer do what I said he could do. So in other words, I turned out to be right. But it's a shame. We had a very good relationship for 99.9% of the thing.
Yeah.
And, I think he's a good man. I think he's a good man.
Good.
Unfortunately, I wish he would have had the stamina, maybe courage, maybe both, to go further. Because we have to have honest elections in our country. And if we're afraid to challenge an election, we're in big trouble, They say, if you challenge...
I was shocked that Andrew Schultz asked Donald Trump about Mike Pence. Again, this is supposed to be a pretty softball interview, and it was throughout most of it, except for a couple of questions that we're going to check out in just a bit. But the way that Trump still talks about Pence, especially with the new reporting about the way that he talked about his life being in danger, saying, so what? I don't really care, should scare all of us. He is still, of course, harboring all this grievance, all this resentment, and it continues to come out and will when he attacks his political opponents, as he has already promised to. All this campaign is about is retribution, grievance, and avoiding accountability. And that ridiculousness comes off in this interview, and especially in a moment that I want to check out here. Like I said, when Donald Trump just gets laughed at for one of the more ridiculous things that he's ever said.
But I always refer him back to the simplicity of McDonald's. She lied about McDonald's. She lied about many things, and she's a liar. There should be some kind of a rule when they know it's a lie, you can't do a commercial on it. But this is a thing that's going to end in 29 days, so they can say what they want. I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But and frankly, she's given me so much ammunition. I don't really have to. I mean, she's a radical left lunatic. Who will destroy our nation? Other than that,
basically a truthful person. Even Andrew Schultz, who I believe is a Trump supporter himself, can't even hold back the laughter at how ridiculous that statement is. Donald Trump, right before that, was attacking Kamala Harris for not having worked at McDonald's when that is just absolutely not true. She absolutely did. And Donald Trump seems to be so caught up in attacking her with that lie. But the fact that he thinks he is basically a truthful person shows how detached from reality he is and has always been. It is just like absolutely mind-boggling the way that he perceives reality. And that's especially true when Trump was asked about what he thinks his legacy is and where he thought the country stood before and after him. Let's take a look.
Do you like your legacy to be, and what do you think it will be?
So,
and thank you very much for taking
two very different questions, actually, I think. But
what would you like it to be?
I took over a country that was very troubled. This country was broken up and tremendous dissension. And Barack Obama started it. And if you take a look, it was very, very badly broken. And I think now with Biden, you know, let's forget her for a second, but with Biden and her, part of it, big part of it, but with Biden, there's tremendous dissension. The country is a broken up mess. And it's broken in a lot of ways. But what I would like my legacy to be is the same as the term MAGA, Make America Great Again. I'm going to make this country great again. It's not a great country right now. It's loaded up.
It's always a great country.
It's a great country.
See, that's
it's always a great country.
Okay, but I say it has the potential, and it was a great country. I think now there's so much hatred and there's so much dissension. I think when you have people that can't walk down Fifth Avenue, when you have people that can't walk down a street, it ceases to be.
We can always be better. We can always be better.
Yeah, but you can't.
Before I get into all of what Trump said in this clip, I want to commend Andrew Schultz just a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of him, but I do respect the patriotism that he's bringing to this conversation and finally calling out Donald Trump as someone should have already for his incessant attacks on our country. He's always saying that America is a third world nation. It's completely crumbling. It's the worst country. It's an absolute mess. Where's the patriotism that Republicans claim to have? The love of country, the love of freedom, the things that they actually attack every day. Where's the backing the blue when they attack our police officers, especially on January 6th? Of course, this is the hypocrisy of MAGA. It is baked into the whole situation, but good on Andrew Schultz for calling him out. But let's return to what Trump said. He's saying that President Obama divided the country, that President Biden has divided the country. Do you not think that you were the reason the country was so divided? Do you not think that it was your malignant presence? Again, showing how detached from reality he is, showing how confused he is with the truth, not a basically truthful person as he would like to say, but that is not the only set of lies, as of course we can expect, that Donald Trump told during this podcast. They got a little bit crazier when he wanted to talk about some imaginary wars in this clip right here.
Doing a lot of things, and you're solving a lot of problems. I stopped wars that nobody will ever know about, they won't write about, but countries that were fighting each other and didn't affect us much, but they did business with us. I called up two countries that have fought for thousands of years, killing each other for years. And I said, you guys are at it again. I heard it was going to start up. I stopped it when I first came in. And I said, listen, here's the story. If you go to war with each other, I could give you the details, but I don't even want to bother because it's nice now. I said, you're not going to do any more business with the United States. I'm going to cut you off 100%. And if you do get through, I'm going to charge you 200% tariffs. You won't be able to survive. So work it out. Work it out. You know, it was a country that split, and they've been fighting for years. The two halves, I think, like thousands.
I still don't really know what Trump is referring to, and I don't think he does either. This is a new bit that he's doing when he's talking about how he used tariffs to stop some imaginary war. And it's really interesting that he's trying to do this at this moment in time and try to play on some idea that he was strong on foreign policy, especially as we see his connections to Putin after leaving the White House being exposed. It seems like he wants to frame himself as a strong leader, when in reality, he just wants to sell us out to dictators and authoritarians, because that's exactly what he wants to be. And so we have to continue to call that out every single day. Of course, we are going to on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments or just say hi. I'd love to thank you for your support. And until next time, I'll see you soon.